War isn't neat or noble or easily explained. It's confusing, it's heavy, and it really never ends for the people who fight it. Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried doesn't tell us what war is supposed to mean. It shows us more like, well, what it feels like. And through stories that blur truth and memory, it captures the invisible weight that soldiers carry long after, well, the shooting stops. I'm Matt Haswin. I like to talk about things that we should all know. And with Veterans Day getting close here, and I'm a high school history and civics teacher, I want to talk about The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. This was published in 1990, and it was right when I was still in high school. And The Things They Carried is a collection of linked short stories that are based on O'Brien's own experiences as an American soldier in Vietnam. Now, it is fiction, but it's the kind that feels more honest than actually, fact. O'Brien once said, "A thing may happen and be a total lie, and another thing may not happen and be truer than the truth." And that tension between fact and emotional truth, it just runs all throughout the story. It's almost every page. The title story, The Things They Carried, begins with a simple list. First Lieutenant Jimmy Cross carried letters from a girl named Martha. And from there, O'Brien begins cataloging what each man carries, both physical and emotional burdens. They carry weapons and helmets and rations, but they also carry fear and shame and homesickness and guilt. He writes, "They carried the soldier's greatest fear, which was the fear of blushing. And some carry pictures of loved ones, and others carry lucky charms or the memory of someone they couldn't save. And by the time you finish the list, you realize that every object is a metaphor. It's a measure of weight that can't be put down, even after the war's over." Now, O'Brien blurs the line between memory and imagination. He writes stories that contradict each other, the same event told twice, differently, to show how truth changes depending on who's remembering. He tells you right up front, a true war story is never moral. It does not instruct nor encourage virtue. So in his world, truth isn't found in accuracy, it's found in emotion. You don't read his stories to know what happened. You read them to feel what it was like to live through it. Now, O'Brien returns again and again to one idea, and that is the weight of memory. The soldiers carry, weapons and grenades, but the real weight is the things they can't forget. The death of friends, the moments of cowardice, the guilt of surviving when others didn't. O'Brien writes, they carried all the emotional baggage of men who might die. Grief, terror, love, longing. These were intangibles, but the intangibles had their own mass and specific gravity. That's the brilliance of the book. It takes something abstract like trauma and gives it physical form. You can feel the heaviness in every sentence. One of the most unforgettable chapters is The Man I Killed. O'Brien describes in agonizing detail the body of a Vietnamese soldier he has just killed. And he invents a life for him, a backstory, a family, a dream of becoming a teacher. And then he reminds us he doesn't actually know any of it. He's imagining it because his conscience demands meaning. He's trying to make peace with something that has none. It's storytelling as survival, and it's a way to rebuild what war destroys. And by the end, The Things We Carried becomes a book not just about war, but about storytelling itself. Writing becomes O'Brien's way of carrying his own ghosts and of turning pain into narrative. He writes, "Stories can save us," he says. "They make the dead talk. They make the past present." And the things he carries now aren't weapons, they're words. The reason why it matters, why am I bringing this up? One, because Veterans Day is just a few days away, but I also just think that The Things They Carry matters because it reveals what story or what history often hides. That war doesn't end when the fighting stops. It lingers in the minds of those who lived it, and in the silences, that exist between memories, in the things that are too heavy to say out loud. It also reminds us that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to move forward while carrying it. And O'Brien's soldiers never put their burdens down. And really, neither do we. We just find ways to name them. And that's the things they carried. It's a book about war, but more than that, it's about what it means to be human. And it's a story of weight and memory and the truths that we invent to keep ourselves alive. Because some of the things can't be left behind. They just have to be carried. Thanks for hanging around. Appreciate watching the video.